I'm my brother's keeper. I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame. We're the healers of the heart.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to My Other's Keeper. Welcome to the people from Crystal Phoenix. I'm so glad she's here today. Crystal, why don't you introduce yourself and let people know who you are? I'll do the same for your people.
All right. So now, granted, most of my people are your people as well, but we do have some new people. So
Yes.
For those of you that don't know me, I am Crystal Phoenix, also known as Crystal Bay. I am I really have to come up with an acronym. We seriously do. But a domestic abuse awareness activist, speaker, coach, publisher, author, and survivor, basically ... And with starting the foundation, nonprofit organizer. But right now what we're going to be doing is talking about trauma bonds in the workplace, because everybody hears about trauma bonds and you think, it's relationships. Well, you do have relationships in the workplace. So I introduced myself. Now, Kim, it is your turn to introduce yourself to
your much larger audience than mine.
Yes. A lot of my LinkedIn community will probably be Team Replay because LinkedIn likes to act funny about streaming.
That's fine.
But please introduce yourself to my LinkedIn community, especially, and what you're about, because like I said before, I want to integrate you guys.
Yes.
Because both communities are amazing, and I really do feel we can benefit by merging.
Absolutely.
So,
the more people we can reach, the better it is.
Exactly.
So, yes. Yeah. So my name is Kim. I am a YouTuber. I am an artist. That's my stuff. I am a retired, on not of my own volition, English as a subsequent language teacher. I'm a semi-retired hairdresser. I say semi-retired because I still have like 4 or 5 clients. But all in all, I've never had a career that I didn't like. I love doing hair still. I love teaching still. And I love doing this still. So I have to say I'm very, very happy to be here. So, yeah. I am currently married, and I say currently like it hasn't been for long. I've been married to my husband for the last 29 and a half years. It'll be 30 years in August. And we will have been together 35 years in November. He's an engineer. Nice. Yeah. I have to say, I love boring. Boring makes life so much easier, doesn't it?
I have to say, Matt always worries about that, because he's a programmer. He is very introverted. He thinks that, especially because of like everything I've done in my life, growing up in Fort Lauderdale and, being who I am, he's always worried that I'm going to get bored with him. And I'm like, no, you ground me. I like the boring.
That's right. I need the stability.
Yeah.
Because I feel free to fly off and then come back, fly off and then come back.
Yeah.
And that's what our relationship is as well. So I get it. I really get it.
So now the whole My Other's Keeper, how did I've been wanting to know, how did you come up with that? I don't know if anybody's asked, but I really am curious how you came up with that, because we've known each other for about 8 months, and you have led and I'm very grateful for this, but a very blessed life. You haven't had a lot of the traumas that a lot of our community has, and I'd be grateful for that.
I am very grateful for that. Yeah. I've had trauma, but they're like, I've had like 2 or 3 traumas versus the 5 or 6 ginormous traumas that many people have had. So yeah, I've been very, very fortunate. My other's keeper came from basically the first murder in the Bible. And there's these 2 brothers. They are in the field, and one made God happy and one didn't. And the guy who didn't said, okay, fine, let's make just one of us. So he killed his brother, and God came to him and said, where's your brother? And he's like, am I my brother's keeper? And God's like, yeah. So I am my brother's keeper and my sister's keeper and my mom's and my dad's and crystals and indigos and everybody else. And it doesn't mean that I take their problems on me. It means that if they need something and I'm able to help, I will be there. I will be there to help. So that to me is what being a keeper is for somebody. You are muted.
I forgot I muted on my mic. So real quick, I'm going to go through the chat. Like I said, we have a lot of the same community. And just say some quick hellos. You know the difference between mine and yours. Mine has the little circle.
Yes.
So I'm going to say hi, Brian, Indigo, Tiff. Thank you for coming. Glitter, I love you. Crystal, Lauren, thank you. And Lauren being here is amazing because this woman is always busy. Yeah, she's actually someone I'd like to introduce you to as well.
Really?
Because she's doing a lot, like with a lot of moving and shaking and in the mental health field and everything.
Oh, fantastic.
So, thank you, Sharon, for coming. Blood Dragon. Who else we got? Rudy, Chris on LinkedIn, thank you. Seventh, I think I covered everybody. Joel,
Brian, Joel.
Yep, I thought I said Brian, but I wasn't sure. So,
Okay.
But welcome everybody for the first installment of the Trauma Bond series that I had announced a few weeks ago. But I got my job at Menards and have been working a lot. So yes, I'm very happy, and I'm working in the garden center and loving it.
Nice.
Most of the other cashiers don't like working out there, which works for me because I like being out there. I get to play with the plants, and with my ADHD, not having to stand in one little aisle and not do anything because you can only dust so many times. Is great for me.
And fold only so many t-shirts, right? So,
I can't even do that.
No. Oh,
there's literally no. It's a great place to work. My management, I'm really enjoying being there.
Good.
But it has, kind of put a little bit of a weight on everything that I had planned out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of making a balance because I want to do both. I finally have a job to be able to actually pay for doing my content creation and building the nonprofit and everything,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, guys, are we ready to dive into workplace trauma bonds? All right. So, workplace trauma bonds. Hey, Izzy. Love you.
Davey's here now too.
Mm-hmm. So, workplace trauma bonds are not as well known to people because you don't really think about, a trauma bond in the workplace. Because like I said, most people think of trauma bond as, you suffered from domestic abuse, whatever, right? Well, no. Workplace trauma bonds can happen. You kind of can see them in certain movies, you're your boss is a high-powered attorney, and if you don't bow down, things like that, you feel you owe them for giving you a chance, things like that. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Or you see something you shouldn't, but you're sworn to secrecy and being in fear of losing your job, things like that. Mm-hmm. So here's the technical definition of a workplace trauma bond. It's an emotional attachment formed in toxic or abusive work environments. They often mirror patterns seen in personal abuse dynamics, such as cycles of reward and punishment that confuse and trap individuals emotionally and psychologically. How they can form in the workplace is inconsistent reinforcement. Manager or coworker may alternate between kindness, hostility, praise, criticism. The unpredictability keeps you on edge. Then it makes you always striving to get it right. Power imbalance, isolation, fear-based culture, validation and worth tied to your performance, and shared struggle or trauma bonding with peers. Coworkers may bond over shared mistreatment, but this can sometimes reinforce staying in the toxic workplace rather than empowering each other to leave.
Exactly. You're like, ooh, I have somebody who can work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody that gets it, maybe we can change it. But that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to a trauma bond in the workplace, especially if it's like a supervisor or something like that, it's really hard to break it. And I hate to put it like this, especially in America, but corporate America, they don't care. The people with power are the worst offenders.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to give a couple of signs on that you're in a workplace trauma bond.
I'm just going to point out, I may put up a comment. We may not discuss it, but I want it to be pointed out to be, okay.
Absolutely.
So, even if we don't discuss it, I just want the comment to be seen.
Oh yeah, no. I'm good with that. I do it too. You've seen enough of my lives to know that I do that stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you constantly feel anxious or on edge around certain coworkers or supervisors, even if you work remote. Matt went through this with his old job, and we'll get into that a little bit later. You feel loyal to a job or boss despite ongoing emotional harm. You second guess yourself and avoid conflict even when boundaries are crossed. Feel fear leaving even though you're miserable. You justify or minimize abusive behavior. They're under a lot of stress. They didn't mean it. I screwed up, little things like that.
It's my fault.
So I figure we could, share our stories a little bit, and then we'll talk about how to heal and, how to break and heal from them at the end, like after. So, now when I broached this subject, I had posted in the village group saying, hey, I need a volunteer to talk with me about these different types of trauma bonds. And you right off rip said, I can talk about workplace. And so you were, and I mean, that was within like 30 seconds of me posting that.
What can I say? I have no life. I'm always on Facebook.
Well, no, but the fact that you responded that quickly told me that you really did have a story to tell. And normally you are the one that is interviewing others, getting our stories.
I'm the listener.
Yeah. So now it's our turn to hear yours, because people do need to see that, they're not alone in these different things.
Yeah.
Hey, Mac, love you.
Hello. Something I'm going to mention is a phrase that I learned many years ago is don't judge your insides by somebody else's outside.
Yes.
To look at me, you would think I was perfectly fine, well put together, live in a lovely home with great art. Anyway, and I have
you think the same thing? I mean, look at all my guitars and stuff. You think the same thing. You wouldn't know like half the crap that I've gone through. Looking at what you see.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't judge your inside by somebody else's outside, because we're all wearing a mask, every one of us. And part of wearing a mask for me at work, when I started out as a young adult, I started out doing hair. And I learned that it doesn't matter if you are at work It doesn't matter if your boyfriend broke up with you, or if your dog died, if your parents divorced, it doesn't matter. Your clients don't care. They want you to make them feel good. You come and that's your job. So I did. I learned to immediately paste a smile on my face the moment I get into work. And I am just the happy-go-lucky girl. And that was great for quite a while because I was undiagnosed with bipolar type 2. And so I was the happy-go-lucky girl at the time for years. I really was. And then I had 2 babies within just over a year, 14 months apart. And we moved to New Brunswick. Like, we moved from where I live now all the way across to the East Coast and all the way back to the western part of Canada in 11 months. So, I mean, like, it was a busy year. And at that point, I decided that I wasn't that young party girl hairdresser anymore. So I needed to find out if what I believed spiritually was actually biblical, or if it was just tradition, or if I had been just given a line of crap.
Yeah.
So I went to a Bible school and I did a lot of learning. I have let me back up just a hair. When my younger daughter was 11 months old, which is later than postpartum normally sets in, I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2. If at any point you want to know more about that, we can talk about it later. So when she was 2 years old, we moved from the city to this teeny weeny little town. And I can guarantee there's more people in a shopping mall at any given moment than live in my town. So it's a tiny little town. And then I started and then ended up earning a double degree in biblical and intercultural studies and a teaching certificate for English as a subsequent language. Now, once I had all of that going on, I started work at a settlement agency in the city close to where I live. And it is the #1 settlement agency in that city. And it's a wonderful place. It has great programs, amazing workers, the most toxic work environment you'll ever meet. More people go on stress leave there than take just regular holidays anywhere else. It is just incredible. It's awful. So when I had been working there for quite a number of years by then. And my students loved me like nobody's business. Other teachers thought I was amazing. They loved it when I would sub for them. And basically it was agreed, I am a great teacher. And I'm not saying that just to go toot my horn. I'm saying that because that's what people were telling me. Until one day, my boss, knowing that I have generalized anxiety disorder, in the beginning of the day, he says, Kim, we need to talk. And I'll see you after class. And I'm like, excuse me? What are we going to talk about? Don't worry. I'll see you after class. I said, you can't do that to me. You know I have anxiety disorder. It is going to kill me all day. We'll talk after class. So I had this anxiety building up all day. And when I came to his office after class, he's like, okay, Kim, we have been receiving reports. It was one student. We have been receiving reports that you are not fulfilling your job, and when I look at your record keeping, it's not good. When I look at, and he listed like every stinking part of my job that I was failing at, according to him. And so he's like, okay, so every option, we're going to work with you to get you through this. You know, we're going to give you 6 to 8 weeks and we'll work through this. We'll get you through this. That's okay. But you need to know every option is on the table, including termination. Thanks. 6 to 8 weeks, just what we needed. So the end of the first 6 weeks, I had a major panic attack. Now I have diabetes. By that time, I wasn't taking insulin. I was just on oral medication and exercise and diet and all that stuff. I had a major panic attack and suddenly I had to be on insulin. I had no idea that it would affect my body that deeply. So that was after the first 6 weeks or so. After 8 weeks, I had another major panic attack. And it's like, okay, this isn't good. My diabetes got worse. Then it's just a matter of, okay. And the thing was, we will come do spot checks in your class. You won't know when we're coming. We'll just come in and sit and do spot checks. I waited, and like probably only 3 times did they come to my classroom, but I was waiting every stinking day for that axe to fall.
That's not a good environment, not only for you, but it's also, it's not a good environment for the students either. You know, if the teacher's on edge, you're not being able to give your students your undivided attention. If you're anxious, and as somebody that has suffered from anxiety, and I mean pretty bad, you know, when they build it up like they're doing there, your kids, you know, being kids and, you know, acting out like little ones do, you know, because they're play, they get bored, you know, that's going to put your anxiety even more on edge. They're setting you up to fail.
My students were all adults.
Okay.
I don't teach children. Children are wonderful, don't get me wrong. But if I had to teach them, I'd have to squish them.
I agree. You know, that's why I decided.
Be a real pain in the neck.
That's why
especially
I decided,
when there's more of them than there is of you.
Yes. That's why, I had originally wanted to be a history teacher and decided I did not want to teach a bunch of snot-nosed teenagers a subject that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah,
so I get it.
Exactly.
But even teaching adults, we're perceptive. And seeing you on edge, it's going to make me as an adult question your teaching ability. You know, why is it like that? And the person that probably made the complaint was a student that didn't do well because they didn't put the attention to it. You know, they didn't do and you gave them the appropriate grade and they didn't like it.
Actually, it was a student who was put too low. So she's like, oh, I want you to move faster. I want you to move faster. You're not moving fast enough. Meanwhile, I'm going the speed that every other student needed, just not as fast as what she wanted. And so therefore, I wasn't teaching fast enough.
Well, I'm sorry. No.
Exactly.
You need to go the pace of, you know, for everybody. If you want to be in an accelerated course, then
go to a different school.
Go to a different school, or like I did, I went to my teacher and he gave me extra work on the side so that I could be accelerated. Because I went to a very small private school. I was in honors American history, but I was in the same class as the normal students because it was a very small private school. You know?
Absolutely.
So he gave me the accelerated work, but I still in the classroom had to sit there with everybody.
Yep.
You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You know, and the fact that she disrespected you instead of coming to you and saying, hey, can you give me extra work or whatever, that just shows how childish she really was.
Yes.
And basically doing that to you, not cool.
No, not cool.
And I am very happy about the person that I do want to put you with when we do the LinkedIn thing, because I didn't know you had bipolar, but Nick is the bipolar writer and everything. Like her whole platform is about being bipolar and it not being a disability, but a superpower.
Yeah.
And being unapologetically her.
Yeah.
And everything. And so the fact that, you know, I'm really looking forward to that one.
Awesome. I am too now.
Yeah.
Part of the other problem is, like you said, that these adults are that much more attuned. But I teach refugees as well as immigrants. Yeah. Refugees have been through hell.
Yes.
And their whole being is just, as you know, with PTSD, every stinking one of them has it. and they are just constantly on alert, and they can sense that
Oh,
tension
yes.
and all of that. So everybody was stressed.
Everybody was
For-
stressed, and
Yep.
there are going to be some of them that will play into that, hoping that they'll get better grades, da 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 da,
Yep.
because they'll play the game,
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that your supervisors and everybody did that, mm, and
Yeah.
that leads me to say, when it comes to the whole trauma bonding in the workplace, it's so much harder because, like you said, you're waiting for that shoe to drop.
Oh, yeah.
And this is your
Yeah.
livelihood. This is,
Yeah.
yes, you had your husband who was also working, but this is your livelihood. This is
Absolutely.
this helps put clothes on your kids' back. This helps, get their college funds started, insert here, but it was, and you were contributing to your household. And the fact that they took part of that power away from you, that feeling good, you're helping educate people, and you're helping build a future for your kids and
Mhm.
for yourself,
Mhm.
and diminishing it because of one student who
Decided to be a pain.
to be a witch with a B, and
Yeah.
Sorry, no. The fact, and that, but you don't want to leave your job, and that's where the trauma bond comes. So you end up being on edge, almost kissing. In some cases, you end up kissing, and excuse my language, but kissing your boss's ass. Trying to step up and above and everything, and the narcissistic bosses, and it sounds like your boss was. They like the whole power play.
Oh,
And everything,
huge. Oh,
um
Yeah.
that's what they want. They want,
Because it worked with me, they're now doing it to other people.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I was gonna say. It's, you don't want to leave your job because it's fulfilling, but once it stops being fulfilling because you're living in fear of losing it, you're no longer filling that purpose for yourself or your students,
Right.
in your case. And
Right.
to me, when it comes to a workplace trauma bond, the only true way to break it, if reporting to superiors
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do anything. And my sister-in-law is a teacher in the elementary school, and she's
Mhm.
constantly complaining about
Oh,
the
yeah.
superintendents, all of it. Especially in the Midwest, where, yeah, we won't get started on how backwards the Midwest is.
Okay.
But nepotism is very alive here.
Oh.
Yeah. She was part of a math program where they were helping, like, kids that were really behind, and they scrapped the program and put the money that the program was getting into a new atrium.
An atrium.
Mhm.
That'll help learning.
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you.
Because, they couldn't do a gym because they've already redone the gym and everything else, and it's like, yeah. We're not gonna, and rock guy hun, we're not gonna talk about Iowa, sweetheart, because anybody that saw my live with Mac when I discussed my whole thing with my children, because I did not want to do it on my channel, will understand why I think Iowa needs to burn.
Well, I put up with it.
Mhm.
And the teacher sitting right beside me kept saying, Kim, why don't you leave? Why don't you just leave? I'm like, because I'm stronger than that. I can do this. I know that I'm good and I can do this. And it got to the point where when I was sitting in the office, I would just be shaking. And I'm like, okay, maybe my blood sugar's off. So I'd test my blood sugar. Well, maybe I had too much caffeine. Well, I haven't had coffee today. Maybe it's this, that, and the other thing. I didn't know that it was nerves. Because as soon as I was in the classroom, I was a rock. Like, I was fine. It was just only in the office. And my last day of work there, I was at my desk. I was preparing for class, and he came in. My desk was kind of, there was a big bookshelf in the center of the office, so you couldn't quite see the. I was kitty corner to the door, so you couldn't see my desk from the door. He started talking, and I literally just broke down into full tears, shaking uncontrollably like I had hypothermia. It was awful. I had a 100% complete mental breakdown, or nervous breakdown, actually, like diagnosed by my doctor, nervous breakdown. From that day on, for the next almost a full year, I was in bed 18 to 20 hours every day for almost a full year. And since then, I cannot do anything that requires me to do any reporting, because I've been conditioned now to think that I don't know how to do it. I can teach, but I can't teach groups. So I have like one student I teach once a week, but at least I'm still teaching, that kind of thing. And he, like I said, it worked on me. Probably the strongest mentally person that there is in that office. And because it worked on me, he's done it now to several other teachers. And yeah.
And what's funny is people will say, well, why didn't you report him?
To whom?
Yeah. It's like he's the principal. And when
Right.
you're teaching adults, it's different. At least in, middle, like the grammar school age, through high school, you have there is a pecking order, you have, the school board and things like that. But with adult education, it's not quite the same, is it?
It is different. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, who are you going to report to? You can't really go to Better Business Bureaus.
Oh.
And
I did go to my union, and they took meetings with me. And anytime I asked for an email saying, by the way, you said this during the meeting, can you clarify, please? I would get nothing back, because they didn't want it written down what they had said to me.
Yeah.
So
I would have brought a
union
tape
didn't have a
recorder.
leg. Well, the union didn't have a leg to
Yeah.
stand on, because there was nothing written down.
Yeah, there was no
I should have
actual
pulled a Reese.
documentation.
I should have just,
Mhm.
had I known Ms. Quibble way long before that, I would have used my phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just,
Yeah.
I was too, I don't know, naive, I guess.
Well,
and I never
no.
thought of myself as being naive. I was too trusting. That's the word I'm looking
Well,
for.
that
I was too
and these are
trusting.
the people above you.
Yes.
We are taught from a very young age to respect our elders, our higher ups, even if they're younger than us in, managerial, you are taught to, respect those boundaries. They're the boss. What they say goes, when you're in school, things like that as well. That's how we're taught.
Yes.
And the fact is, it's hard to break that cycle when
It really is.
you are taught that our boss is our boss.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot more trainings and things like that, but it still doesn't put a stop to it.
No.
And I'm really sorry that you went through that. It's
Thank you.
also very, hey, Caucasian, sorry. It's really
okay.
sad that I hear this from a lot of educators. Like I said, my sister-in-law, how she had the whole math program scrapped after 2 years. They set it up to fail.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
they were actually doing good for these kids, And now she went back to teaching just 4th grade this year, and a lot of her kids from in the math program are in her class, and they're struggling, and there's still somewhat that whole no kid left behind.
Oh yeah.
going
Which
on.
is stupid. I hate
Which
to
is,
say it, but that's
it's
stupid.
not, and it's not fair to the kids.
And it's not helping.
No, I mean, we have the ESL, the programs for the kids that are slower. Different states call them different things.
Right.
When
I was growing up, it was called the resource room.
Yeah, things like that. My daughter Mackenzie was put on a program like that and did actually catch up.
Good.
But the fact is, well, I had a hard time learning how to read. And I actually was in a special group to do it. Now, once I learned how to read, game was over. I became a speed reader, the whole thing.
Oh, fantastic.
But I also have, and there's an actual term for it. And my beautiful sister, Sharon Byrne, will kick me because I always forget it. But I have a mild dyslexia with numbers. And I just can't remember the term
Dyscalculia.
Thank you. I also have CRS, can't remember shit.
Yeah, I fully. Yeah.
So, but especially like reading totals and things like and it's funny because I'll do it in the middle numbers. But I catch myself. And I've noticed that like a lot of cashiers and stuff in customer service, things like that, they do that. We just, we're reading them so fast, but I've caught myself even just in normal life, having that happen. So, but people in power will always, okay. Can you highlight Brian's comment that I call it? I just want that. I want that laugh for everybody to say.
Brain fartitis.
Yes. Thank you, poet. You really.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
it.
Absolutely.
I am stealing that.
Yep.
I love it.
I call it brain fartitis.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. So, people in power will abuse it.
Yeah.
Not always.
Most of the time.
But
Not always.
But a lot of the time they will abuse it. They will use it to get, what they need, what they want, to get people in line. When I worked at TA, I have no problem with constructive criticism.
Right.
But don't make me
as long as it's constructive.
And don't make me an example in team meetings.
Oh, yes. Yep.
My boss at TA was the king of the whole positive, negative.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like love bombing and then gaslighting and romantic. But he was very understanding about my abusive relationship. So I felt indebted. Especially because he got me off of the blacklist and was able to rehire me. I had gotten put on the blacklist because I had quit because of my ex had made me. And no call, no show kind of quit. And he got me off of the blacklist. So I felt indebted to him. Yeah. Because the job was very close to my house and everything. And so it was just one of those things where even I'm at work on New Year's, puking my brains out. And he made me stay.
Made you sing?
No, made me stay.
Oh, stay. Ooh.
Even though I'm literally every 45 minutes running to the bathroom, throwing up, he couldn't get anybody to come in. As a manager, you can cover the cashier. The if needed.
Supposedly, yeah.
Now, granted, it was, I think it was food poisoning. No, actually, it was legit the flu.
Oh.
Yeah, I had gotten it from the girls.
Oops.
Well, I was the one that would lay down. We would put our couch, when the girls would get sick, we would put the couches together and I would lay down there with them. And, you know, the whole mom reflex bucket. That was me all the time.
Of course.
And
Yep.
so the girls got sick.
And there you go.
Mommy gets sick too.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, he wouldn't let me go home. But I needed the job.
Absolutely. They take advantage of that. They really do. This particular boss became my friend because he and I and my husband had a friend in common. And so he's like, oh, I talked to my friend about this. Okay, yeah, well, I talked to him about this. And so we would have some casual conversation. So I thought we were friends. Oh, we were not friends. No. Yeah.
That is an abuse of power to begin with. But that's also one of those, remember my chapter, All That Glitters Isn't Gold? That falls under that. The mean, the mean girls, whether they're man or woman, kind of scenario. When women get assertive, we are almost punished for it. In the workplace,
not even almost.
In the workplace, a lot of times you're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Thankfully, with my new job, they actually, one of the reasons they hired me was on my resume. It actually does talk about my work with domestic abuse, and my boss actually commended me for it. And I really think it's my work here and all of that helped push my application up there. I'm lucky in this. I've got a really good workplace and team so far. I mean, I've only been there a couple of weeks, but it does really seem like a good environment.
Fantastic.
Well,
that's wonderful.
Oh, finally.
It only took 28 years, but yeah.
I mean, my last boss was a complete bitch.
I was self-employed.
That's why I said that. My last boss was a complete bitch. She'd have these deadlines all the time.
I know.
I mean,
and I wasn't talking to myself. I was having a staff meeting. Leave me alone.
Matt actually says that to me all the time. He's like, "Are you having?" He teases me about it all the time. He's like, the committee in your brain, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
I was like, do you want the president to come out? It's like, you want to play that game? All right, let's go. But that's just him teasing. But yeah,
of course, yes, there's teasing, but that's all relationship, right?
Yeah.
Without the relationship, that's not teasing. That's bullying.
Yeah.
And that's where,
and it can be, but our relationship, we do tease and we play. And a lot of times, if we're not teasing and playing like that, it is one of those where it's like, are you guys fighting? Is something wrong? Because that's how comfortable we are, But in the workplace, yes, it's great to have friends in the workplace and everything, but I've noticed, and I used to be part of this culture too, where you joke that you have a work husband or wife. And as I've been delving into the whole trauma bonds thing and everything, I'm beginning to realize that having that work wife or work husband is actually not a good thing.
Oh, okay. Why is this?
Well, because like I had said when I was explaining like the different signs of being in a trauma bond, that you honestly, it's shared struggle or trauma bonding with peers. You bond, and you build that relationship, but a lot of times your coworker can see it in a different way, things like that. That's funny, Derek. I have a good friend where people ask why we hate each other so much. I have one or two friends where we will, and excuse my language for some, where we will straight up greet each other and be like, hey, effing bitch, what's up?
Yeah.
And people will think that we just cannot stand each other, but our friendship is that solid and that good that we can be like that, you know, and we know the boundaries not to cross with each other.
Right.
And that's just how we joke around. But
Yeah.
anytime, if one of us says, hey, not now, or not cool, we, you know,
You
we-
immediately respect it
yeah.
because that relationship is not the same.
Yeah. But when it comes to the workplace, now granted, say your best friend got you a job or you guys built a business together, which as much as I love my best friend, I don't recommend doing that because it can end friendships.
Absolutely.
Collaborating and stuff is great. You know, 3 of my very dear friends are my board for the foundation. I actually do have the board set. But we all are all going into it with that respect, and we're not bringing money into it. You know, once we start investing, and everybody, you know, there's that power struggle. Things like that.
Yeah, this is a very good point Indigo makes.
Yeah, that's where.
Does your work friend know you outside of work, or are you only friends after work?
That's where I was coming. That's what I was getting to. You know, if you were already friends beforehand, things like that. But even then, in the workplace, saying work wife, work husband, it's also showing favoritism. You know, it's showing camaraderie, which can be good, but at the same time, it also can send mixed signals. You know, things like that, and it can also, and it will also isolate you from other people.
It can, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it can be, it actually can be, it does form a toxic bond because you rely on each other too much. I've seen that a lot. You know, and I used to joke around like I had a work wife or work husband with certain friends. And looking back, I realized that, you know, by doing that, it actually tainted our relationship out of work. Because we never, work would come home and vice versa.
Right.
You know, and Indigo's right. Codependency can form, and that is a part of trauma bond.
Yes.
You know, you become dependent on that coworker to fix what you screwed up, or, you know, for your need to feel needed, to feel appreciated in the workplace. Things like that. A lot of times when you have a work wife or work husband, it's someone that you joke around with on your break, but they're also the person that you go to say you need supplies for something or another. They're the first person you go to instinctually.
Right. Yeah.
And setting boundaries in the workplace is one of the best first ways to stop trauma bonds from forming. You know, when my boss made me an example in a team meeting, I did go to corporate. I did go above his head, but I said something to him first. I told him flat out, I respect you and I respect what you were saying, but do not call me or anybody else out in front of everybody else. Do not. It's not
okay.
It's toxic. It's a hostile work environment, and it makes you feel about that big.
Exactly.
I mean, I could feel my whole body getting hot and like my turning red. Even if he didn't name names, you still know they're talking about you.
Right.
And it's still humiliating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's that?
It's just cherry coke.
Huh?
It's just cherry coke.
Uh-huh.
It is. No mixture.
None of the good stuff is what he's saying.
Yeah. Sad. It is actually just cherry Coke. I'm going back to the good stuff. I have never claimed that I do not have a alcoholic beverage every now and then.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah.
Indigo says, I recently called out a supervisor for trying to gaslight me that I couldn't do a position. I said, no, I can do the position. Here's my 100% QC scores to prove it.
Yep.
You just don't want me to move from
From her current
my
position.
current position.
Yeah. In fact, actually, Indigo and I talked about this on the phone one night.
Oh, really?
Um,
Okay.
but it's true.
Yeah.
They won't want you to move up. Things like
No.
that. People in power don't want it. You know.
Yeah.
They will play favorites, and if you
Mhm.
are not one of them,
Mhm.
they will do everything they can to hinder
Mhm.
you stepping up. So, sorry, Indigo. I am exhausted. I worked all day and came home to do the live. I am sorry, sweetheart.
And I may have done it too. I don't recall, but I am the worst.
I really am too.
Yeah.
I try to just say Indigo.
Yeah,
And
I do too.
I am sorry, sweetheart. I do. You know I love you. Big hugs. See, highlight crystals, please.
Okay.
That right there is wrong.
Mhm.
1,000%. I have called
Absolutely.
I have actually been able to get a manager fired for that.
Oh, excellent.
But
Yeah.
that's because I got a bunch of customer witness signed. I got
Mhm.
staff to also sign paperwork with witness statements, and I brought it to HR
Mhm.
and pushed it through. You know,
Yeah.
because it's not cool. It's bad enough when
No.
you work in customer service, and I know Crystal works at Walmart, right?
Mhm. Yep.
You know, when you're having to deal with an irate customer,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
getting yelled at by a customer because we don't have their flavor of chocolate bunny, for example, you know.
Your chocolate bunnies are hollow. I want solid.
I want
Yeah, I
white
have
chocolate, whatever. Hey, bud. You know, and then to have a manager do that, first
Mhm.
off, it's unprofessional.
Oh, beyond. Yeah.
And in fact, and I know in even Walmart, code and everything, code of ethics, they
Mhm.
are technically you can get that manager fired, Crystal, because it does state in the handbook that they're not allowed to do that.
Oh,
That
yeah.
they have to pull you
Absolutely.
aside. And into a break room, things like that.
And it's not one of
Mhm.
those, excuse me, I need to pull you aside for discipline.
No.
You know,
Yeah,
it
they
is
are
just,
not
hey,
allowed.
can you come this way? Yeah. If there was a boss like from the movie Office Space, you could also do these expense reports, and that'd be great. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, and a lot of the trauma bonds in the workplace are 90% of the time it is going to be with a supervisor. But say you screw up and a coworker cleans it up for you. They will that is another way that a trauma bond will form, because they can hold it over your head.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And make you cover for them, ... Or the whole, and you see this a lot in like corporate America, like corporate higher ups. Oh, well, if you turn me in, I'm bringing you down with me. If you catch somebody,
whistleblower and yeah,
things like that. And those are all forms of trauma bonds.
Oh, yeah.
Because being afraid of losing your job, you know, especially in this economy, I mean,
Oh,
I'm so
it's
grateful that I got this job. Okay.
yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. This is actually probably the highest paying job I've ever actually had in a very, very long time.
Mhm.
Actually, on the books, I'm pretty sure it is the highest paying job I've ever had, or at least when I work weekends,
Nice.
except for when I was doing like my own consulting and things like that.
Right.
You know,
Right.
oh, I'll own it when I was an exotic dancer. I will own it.
Ooh, baby.
Hey, I was
Tips are good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
All right, I've got a funny story on that one. I had just started dancing actually, and I was talking with a customer, and he made an offer for champagne room fun, and I looked at
Mhm.
him and I said, "Sweetheart, you can't afford what I give to the ones I want to for free." He bust
Mhm.
out laughing, handed me $500, bought the most expensive bottle that I got commission on, and
Uh-huh.
we joked around in the champagne room, gave each other just like a back massage because I got his respect. Because I straight up said, I was like, "You can't afford me,"
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
But, you know, this is like the best paying job. And I hate to admit that, but at 41 years old, making 16 an hour, but knowing the way that the economy is, the fact that I don't have a college degree,
Mhm.
and everything that I've been through, yeah, I'm pretty happy with, making 16, 19 an hour.
Absolutely. Especially, I guess I don't know
Mhm.
what the median income is for your area. I don't.
Right now, minimum wage is 13.
Oh, so that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
12,
16
12, yeah,
is
12. When I was working at the nursing home, I was making minimum wage. I'm
yeah.
I'm
You should not
making,
make minimum wage working with old people.
especially because I was in the dementia unit.
You
I
couldn't
loved.
pay me enough to do
Oh,
that.
see,
Oh, it's a
I
hard
loved it.
job.
It was, and I wound up leaving not because of my old people, because I loved them, but because of
Mhm.
a coworker. First, she tried hazing, and a lot of with my anxiety, I hum.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, um, one of my old ladies it was bedtime,
Mhm.
and she has the pens. I'm trying to get her into the bathroom to get her changed, and she's like doing laps with her walker around her room. Okay, and
Catch me.
yeah, and she's this little old lady. I love her to death. And my anxiety's starting to peak.
Mhm.
And this coworker looks at me and she goes, "I am on more anxiety meds than you could ever imagine. So you can't get upset with me when I want to talk to you about yours." Excuse me? If you have PTSD and anxiety, you should know that what you said is triggering and disrespectful.
I'm going to go back to the very first comment.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yeah.
first comment that Indigo made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wound up leaving because of her, because she
Yeah.
made it such a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
I refused to work with her, and they wanted to put me on overnights, and I can't work overnight.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
not why I wanted to work there. I wanted to work there to be with the people, help them. No, sorry.
Yeah.
So I recognized what she was. She was a bully, and I left. But at the same time, I was lucky. Matt had a job. We're in a situation where it wasn't a big deal. Now, if I had still been with my ex and been the only one working, paying the bills and stuff, I would have sucked it up and stayed in that very toxic work environment.
Yeah. It's amazing what you stay with just because you have to.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. And so I know it's getting late.
Mhm.
So why don't we talk? I'm going to pull up the whole healing and stuff part of what I had researched.
Perfect.
Okay.
And if we have to, if people would like to hear
Mhm.
more, we can move this to a couple weeks from now
Yeah,
and have a part 2.
absolutely. Like I said, I mean, this is the Trauma Bond series. It's
It's
going
a
to,
huge subject.
well, yeah. I mean, I'm doing 9 different lives just on different forms of trauma bonds. My friend Jen Lynn is going to speak, and hers is workplace trauma bonds, but it is trauma bonds with first responders. Whether it's your police force or EMT firefighter, like she was, the trauma bonds that you form with your partners in that sense.
Yeah.
So, and then my beautiful Sharon Byrne is going to be talking with me about trauma bonds with disability caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
In the caregivers, and then I'm probably, when it comes to relationship trauma bonds, there's probably going to be a part 2 and part 3 on that one, because that is the biggest one.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
And I believe Shannon has said that she is willing to join me when it comes to the friendship relationship trauma bond. And I think that one's going to have a few parts as well, because there's different forms of friendship and trauma bonds, just like romantic.
I can help with that one too. Yep.
Just like romantic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, this is why I decided to do the Trauma Bond series, is because within 2 weeks, I had 8 different people that I've known IRL come to me asking me, what do I know about trauma bonds?
Oh, wow.
And saying, I think I'm in a trauma bond with my ex, or this, that, and the other. And dealing with my, own trauma bond with my abuser, and breaking that cycle. And still somewhat, like when he got released from jail, having that fear in that day, getting that notification, that I wound up having nightmares, and wound up writing about it, writing a song to try and purge, even though, it's like I've come so far, but it's still hard, and then we have people who Matt doesn't understand about trauma bonds.
Neither does my husband.
He sees the things that I did because of it, and he doesn't understand the reasons behind it. He's also very logical, black, white.
He's a left-brained person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because I go both sides. I go both ways. No pun intended.
Do you want my pineapple? Turn it upside down, kind of? No. Okay, never mind.
Until I fell in love with Matt, I actually did go both ways. Now I say I'm Matt sexual, because he's the only one I want.
There you go. Yes.
But
that's awesome.
Even our relationship, there is a little bit of a trauma bond between me and him because of everything that we went through, but we're working through everything,
I'm sorry, Indigo. I had the wrong implication.
And
I don't ever turn my pineapple upside down. Just
I don't share, and I will not be shared.
I'm a little greedy.
You know the movie Moulin Rouge?
I have. Oh, hang on. Have I seen it? Yes, I saw it 100 years ago.
Well, when the bad guy, I can't think of his name right now, the Count or the Duke, whatever, is talking to the owner of the Moulin Rouge about like turning it into the theater. He's talking about Satine, and how he's like, Satine will be only mine. He's like, I'm not a jealous person. I just don't like people touching my things.
Yep.
Yep, that's
And
me.
yes, Indigo, I know you tease.
That is me. I am not a jealous
Oh,
person.
yeah, no.
In fact,
Do
you
you
want to look at my man? Cool. That's it. That is,
He's hot.
saying
Yeah.
that's compliments to my good taste. But you can look, but you might lose a finger if you want to try to touch. It's nice.
See, there's a difference between jealousy and envy.
Yeah.
God is a jealous God. He is not an envious God. Okay? He does not envy who I am, but he is jealous of me in that you are jealous when you hold something tightly that is already yours.
Yeah. Mhm.
Envy is when somebody is holding their thing that's already theirs and you want it from them.
Yeah.
So they are diametrically opposed, but
Yeah.
people have confused them too much over the years.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't want to be shared, and I'm not going to share.
No.
And Matt is the same way. You know,
If Doug ever tried to share me, I'd have to slice him to pieces. Yeah.
everybody knows that I went through all 4 forms of abuse with my ex, so I don't need to go any further.
Yeah.
No. But so now, how to break and heal from workplace trauma bonds.
Mhm.
The first thing is acknowledging the pattern, recognizing that what is happening isn't healthy, like them holding the review over your head for so long.
It was supposed to be 6 to 8. It lasted 9 months.
Yeah.
Before I had a nervous breakdown.
Mm-hmm. You know, understanding that you have formed that trauma bond is the first step in breaking it, and that goes to any form of a trauma bond.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's workplace, any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Rebuilding your identity back outside of work, because like you said, you were walking on eggshells, and that will carry on at home.
Oh, it sure did. Yeah.
You know, so pulling yourself back, you know, making those hobbies, having your support with your husband, playing with the kids, remembering who you are outside of work helps. But when you
I didn't have an identity outside of being a teacher.
and
that's who I was.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
As a mom, the teacher hat is always on.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And as influencers, the way we are, because of the content that you do, the content that I make, we are always, you know, we are always have that teacher hat on. So remembering that one toxic person does not define us.
Right.
Is a step in the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
Setting boundaries, period. End of discussion. And it really shouldn't be a hard thing to do to set boundaries in the workplace, but you would be surprised.
Oh, I am not good with boundaries. It took me a long time to learn how to say no.
Yeah. Well,
and learn that no is a complete sentence.
Yeah. We are people pleasers. You know, people like us who want to educate, you know, who are heart-centered.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to draw the line between people-pleasing and, you know, remembering that, number one, self-care is not selfish. Right. As people pleasers, we want to say yes. We want to give. We want to help. But we have to remember, and I am very guilty of it. You guys saw the breakdown right before the book was published, me saying, okay, I know it was supposed to be here for Christmas, but I needed to put it off, you know.
And you did. You needed to.
But do you have any idea how hard that was for me to do?
I can believe it. I can believe it.
I felt like I was letting everybody down. Everybody told me I wasn't, and the book is absolutely beautiful. You know, and I'm a masochist because I'm doing it again. the summer edition is going to be specifically people with disabilities that were targeted and got out.
Oh, okay.
And then the New Year's one will be an edition just like last year. That
Mhm.
that edition will continue that way. That will just continue to be New Year's. But the summer edition will be specific.
Mhm.
Like this one is going to be disabilities. Next summer, it's going to probably be essay
Mhm.
specifically. Like,
Mhm.
it's going to be specific once.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm a masochist.
Yeah. But at
But-
least you have a plan, and because you've done it once, you've got the template.
Yeah.
You can do your plan, and that makes it a little easier. It's still tough,
Mhm.
but it makes it a little easier.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Am I turning red now? There was some formatting issues in a few of them. I'm sorry. Hi, Henry. I'm so glad to see you. Thank you. So now trauma bonds just in its I appreciate the offer and I'll think on it, but when it comes to these stories, the editing, I have one or two people that I do trust implicitly with it.
Good. Yeah.
And actually it is Sharon Byrne. We've worked together on many, many projects. She
Okay.
knows my style, I know hers, and things like that. So it's just, she's somebody that I trust in very much. And she knows how I edit. She knows how and everything. So we work very well together when it comes to it.
When I
Okay.
was editing my daughter's homework, I would edit for punctuation, spelling,
Mhm.
like for the grammar, I wouldn't change anything else. You're getting your mark for your work.
Yep.
I am helping you get the grammar correct.
Yeah.
You
See,
know?
she and I work very well together. I was her coach the first time she
Mm.
did her first anthology. I was the one that helped her find her writing style. And so like when I get stuck or need help with flow or to figure out wording, even when I'm editing,
Mhm.
for someone else. And yes, Indigo, you did help me with that. You did help me a lot during when I was doing the editing and publishing.
Yep.
But we've got a way that we work together very, very well when it comes to the writing and the editing and stuff. So now one of the ways of healing that it's showing me is one that I agree with and I disagree with.
Mhm.
Seeking external validation.
Hmm.
I agree with it when you're venting about the situation. Okay. It does feel good to have someone say, well, yeah, that really effing sucks. Having that validation of, no, you're not wrong in the way that
Mhm.
you feel. But also, I have issues with it to a point because you're trying to rebuild yourself and get away from needing that external validation, because that's part of a work trauma bond a lot of
Mhm.
times is getting that pat on the back, knowing that you're doing good, knowing that your job is safe. So the whole external validation, that's why I said I agree with it, but not.
Yeah.
What my research says, talk to trusted friends, mentors, or a coach therapist who can provide clarity and counteract gaslighting. Like I said, I agree with it and from that side, but the validation thing, we need to start validating ourselves.
Right.
That's one of the biggest things that I was really horrible. I've gotten better, but after almost every sentence for a long time, am I right? Just that And it was force of habit even.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
seeking that external validation of, is my decision correct? Even if
Yes.
it was, so pulling away from that and validating yourself, it's like, okay, I'm allowed to feel like this. This is not
Yes.
cool. This isn't cool. I shouldn't be feeling like this.
Right.
So, now this one I do 100% agree with, and we did talk about this. Document.
Mm-hmm.
Document. Record if you can. Write down dates, times, what it was said.
Mm-hmm.
And if possible, if there are witnesses, get witness statements.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exploring exit strategies, trying to find another job quietly, because yes, it is easier to find a job when you have one. And on all applications, can we contact current employer? You can say no and give them a reason.
Yeah.
I have gotten a job where I just said, no, you cannot. Why? Because it's a toxic workplace. Interview me and I will explain.
At the interview I had a year after I left the toxic workplace, they were asking, so why did you leave? And I just laid it out.
Yeah.
I said, because we had a disagreement on student need, and I just do, and this is what happened. She's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I said, so there are certain things, if I am hired, I will not be able to do. And she's like, oh, what is that? So I told her about the reporting and that kind of stuff. It's like, it just, that will send me around the bend, and I don't want to be around the bend.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And seeking professional support. That is always, a recommendation especially when it comes to trauma bonds and just, abuse in general, whether it's a toxic workplace abuse, a toxic family environment, toxic friendship, seeking professional help is not necessarily a must, but it is recommended. Not everybody, can deal with talk therapy or things like that. To some, we are their therapists.
Exactly. Yes. As a hairdresser, I was that for a lot of people.
Bartenders?
Hairdressers and bartenders. Exactly. Yep.
And you know what? I already own, the fact that I was a dancer. Even the exotic dancers, things like that, entertainers in that sense.
Yeah.
Also as well,
anything intimate.
Yeah.
Right? So it's intimate to have somebody touching your head.
Yeah.
That's an intimate touch. It's intimate as an exotic dancer. It's intimate as a bartender. You get to know people's secrets and why they're there and all of that stuff. So these intimate relationships, not sexual necessarily, but intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having somebody that you can trust, and especially someone you feel you can trust, that's not in your circle, like your bartender, like your hairdresser, like your nail technician.
I love my nail technician. She's wonderful.
I love mine too, but she is Vietnamese, so I can't really have much conversation with her.
Mine's Vietnamese,
but
I don't talk to her just because she likes to be quiet when she works, and I like to be quiet when I'm there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But like I said, the whole self-care thing is a big part of healing.
It is. It really is.
Taking time to acknowledge that you are not this big.
Nope.
That you deserve to be treated with respect. It doesn't matter if you everybody messes up.
Oh yeah.
Own it, but don't allow yourself to be humiliated. Learn from it. We're human beings. We're not perfect. And you know what? If we were all perfect, God, that would be boring.
Wouldn't it though? Oh wow. Yeah. No, I like different. I like variety. I like people when they're talking about race, they say, "Oh, I'm colorblind. I don't look at color." It's like, no. I like color. I like diversity. I like that. Like, look at those
And
things.
everybody
Does it look like
that-
I want
and-
things to be all the same?
And anybody that says that they're colorblind is lying.
Oh,
And
they
a
are,
lot
I
of
know.
a lot of times they are the most judgmental people you'll meet.
A lot of times, yes.
But I'm not going to get into that conversation.
I like this with Indigo.
Mhm.
I started high-fiving myself in the mirror every morning saying, "You got this." And it started to shift my head. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That is
Um,
exactly right.
Hey Charlie, wow, nice to see you. I didn't realize you were over there right now.
All right. Ni hao.
So I am going to give one thing because I know a lot of our peeps, do struggle with, self and that whole like brain broke for a moment, self-confidence.
Yeah.
And Indigo made me think of that. What I tell a lot of my clients to do in the morning is right. And my therapist did this with me, and I just passed it on. In the morning, when you get up, write out 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that you like about yourself. And I'm not talking I'm a good mom or
Right.
legit, like, and it can be I have pretty eyes, but it's not, I don't do the external, like I'm a good mom, I'm a good friend. Yes,
Right.
it can be I'm loyal,
Mhm.
but not the whole label of I'm a good mom or I'm a good dad. No.
Yeah.
Dig deep into you. What do you like about you? And 3 things that you're looking forward to, whether it's this week, that today, a new show that you've been waiting for is coming out, or a vacation that you're going in a week, things like that.
Mhm.
Write out, like I said, 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things you're looking forward to, and 3 things you like about yourself every morning. And you start the day off in a positive outlook.
Absolutely.
And it really does help. It really does.
Totally. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
It shifts your brain. It actually shifts the physical chemicals in your
the
brain.
serotonin.
Yep. And the dopamine, like
Yeah.
all of that reward center stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
well, I'm not gonna lie, especially because I have to be at work an hour earlier than I normally am.
Okay.
In the morning. But hey, they offered me an extra shift. I'm not gonna
yeah.
say no. Because
No,
that'll
exactly.
put me at about 40 hours. Hey, yay me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And better hours on the weekend.
Yes, but
Well, I suppose tomorrow's not weekend yet.
no. And I'm off on Saturday, and everybody keep your fingers crossed because I'm supposed to have the photo collage I'll put together for Mac and my project clothesline project Saturday.
I'm crossing everything.
Because
Numerous times.
because I'm the one that's putting it all into the collage and everything, and with me picking up the shift tomorrow, I'm gonna be scrambling a little bit. But so I might be leaning. I have a very good friend that does like that kind of editing and stuff. So I might be kind of being like, "Hi, can you help me a little bit?"
Mhm. So Crystal reminds us tomorrow's a stat. So
Yes,
you'll
it is
be
Good
getting
Friday.
hopefully stat pay. So that'd be awesome.
No,
Okay, fine.
Easter, I do.
Oh, Good Friday isn't a stat in the
Mm-mm.
States.
No.
Okay.
But Easter Sunday, I will be getting overtime.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but I am a little bit tired. I've been up since dark 30 because I have,
Ooh.
when you work at a place and they have like a theme song
Mhm.
or something and they play it throughout the store.
Yep. And it gets stuck in your head and you can't let it go. It's an earworm. Yep.
Yep. And there's a parody song of the System of the Down song "Bodies Hit the Floor." It's
Oh.
it's a parody. It's I Can Only Count to 4. The Muppets. the count from Sesame Street's even in the video. It's hilarious.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
But because I
That's
do have
awesome.
to like physically count certain things and everything,
Yep.
like I keep having that song on loop in my head as well. So it's just like,
Oh,
but it's not something that you want to have in your head at 2 in the
Yes,
morning,
exactly.
alternating with the Menards jingle. It's like System of a Down, Hard Rock, Menards jingle. It's like, no.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah.
So I am a little bit sleepy now. I did not
Okay.
sleep very well last night. But
Well, go
thank
take
you.
your meds.
I
Do you
will
not
honestly.
have medications you take?
Really?
Really? I'm on like 15. Not even
Um,
exaggerating.
I refused.
Okay.
I wanted to do it
All right.
holistic. I wanted to try and overcome on my own. And for the most part, I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now granted I do use some CBD at times, and every now and then I will take like Tylenol PM. I live on a leave for my pain, for all of it. But I know I have an addictive personality.
Right.
So I did not want to have any mood stabilizers or anything like that because I know I have an addictive personality.
Being an addictive personality has
Mhm.
nothing to do with your mood stabilizer. That is chemical, and it's an adjustment of chemical. I'm not going to get into this.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
going to
just-
convert you. You're not going to convert me. We're all
No.
good. It's okay.
Honestly, I have gotten to the point now with my
Mhm.
mental health that when I do get in with a new therapist, I have thought about, it's not that I swear against them. It's just, I was worried it would turn me into a zombie, but I've looked into enough of the meds and everything that they have developed now
Yeah.
that I know what to talk to them and say, this is what I don't want.
Yeah.
What can we do from here?
I've been diagnosed for almost 25 years. And the meds, the number of meds and the quality has really changed, like
Yeah.
exponentially in that period of time. So what's available now
Yeah.
is miles above
Yeah.
what it was 25 years ago.
Exactly. And that, like I said, when I first got out of my abusive relationship and I was going through so much with trying to fight
Mhm.
for my children and everything, I didn't want that as another thing that they could use against me as well.
That's fair. Yeah.
So
I've
it
heard
was
people say that.
it was just too many things in a
Mhm.
row, and I haven't found a new mental health provider yet. I mean,
Mm,
I've come
that's
along.
hard.
I've come a long way,
Mhm.
and my anxiety is a lot better and
Oh, yeah.
everything. But I won't lie, I do feel like I'm getting to that point where I do want to start seeing a therapist again. There's things,
Good.
especially with my writing and everything, things that I brought out for anybody that had watched when I did the memorial for my dad.
Hmm.
You guys all know me. I don't break down on camera.
No.
I cried 3 times. I
That's
finally admitted to myself about things with my dad and everything. Nothing, he wasn't abusive or anything like that. It wasn't that. It was just
Right.
the abandonment issues,
Yes.
the anger issues and things like that I never wanted to confront
Right.
because I was a daddy's girl.
Yeah.
And I forced myself to, and I embraced my inner child, and I know that I've come a long way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also brought up the fact that okay, I need to talk to somebody on a professional level and deal.
Yep.
What I need to do is get back into EMDR.
EMDR is amazing.
I had 2 EMDR.
It's not for everybody though.
No, it's not. But
Yeah.
I had 2 EMDR therapists. Both of them ended up moving away after only getting into it about 3 sessions.
No.
And I know I can do it on my own. But I'd rather not.
So much easier with somebody else guiding,
Yes.
guiding and then
Mhm.
assisting that. Like there's that whole
Mhm.
having to do the whole thing. I'd be
Mhm.
so focused on this that I wouldn't be properly
Mhm.
able to do this.
Yes. But I do. I want. I need to find another EMDR therapist.
Okay.
And I know that.
Yeah.
I really feel, because I know I have a lot of repressed stuff,
Mhm.
and there's some of it that can stay repressed. I'm good with that.
Please stay deep down.
Those repressed memories. My mindscape is it's a cabin on the beach, but my memory library is Hogwarts library. And the forbidden section, the dark,
Mhm.
I have a chest, a magical chest that there's no lock, there's no open or close. You literally push the memory in. You can pull it back out if needed. Well, Dobie can.
I've never seen Harry Potter, but I know who Dobie is.
Yeah, house elf.
And Dobie is a free elf because he has a sock.
Yes, because
That's the only thing I know about Dobie.
But
So yeah.
It's just, it makes me feel safe and happy. And
Good.
that was my building and everything.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I know I'm a work in progress. I know I'm a hot mess, but you know what?
Yeah.
Every time I do these lives, every time I write one of my books or I help someone else share their story, that heals just another piece of my heart.
Doesn't it though?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's why we do this. And that's why I decided to do this deep dive with the trauma bonds. Because when I have 10 people in a 2-week period coming to me about this, okay, that tells me
going on.
that it needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
absolutely.
On that note, thank you, everybody that is watching now or on Team Replay.
Thank you very much.
On my LinkedIn, on my YouTube, and here with beautiful Kim on My Other's Keeper channel. I truly appreciate you. You guys can connect with me through my channel, through my LinkedIn, and connect with Kim as well. On my LinkedIn, I will link her YouTube channel in the comments of this if you want to be able to connect. There we go.
Thank you to Amorphous.
Yes, everybody.
Oz. Yes, the wizard. Okay.
So I do. And hello, Body Illusion. Thank you for being here. We love you.
Yes.
Everybody, thank you so much for being here. The comments were great and truly appreciated, and your support and love. Please hit the like button on the YouTube channels. Subscribe if you haven't, because that's how we keep this going.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm sorry we didn't get to the starred comments. We will have to do a part 2 because this isn't enough. Remember your questions, remember your comments, write them down if you have to. Did I mention I'm a teacher?
Yeah, right. We both are. I mean, I didn't get my teaching degree, but I've done a lot of tutoring and, as a, licensed and certified coach.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing non-teacher about you. That's for sure. Right.
So
yes.
We do. Please, and put your comments, your questions in the comments on either channel. Kim has her email right there. You can email the comments to her. Your questions, please reach out, especially if you feel that you are in a trauma bond or if you're hurting or anything, please reach out to me, to Kim. I'm, anybody in the chat, you guys all know, we all support each other. That's why we do what we do. We built a community of support and love. Yes, nobody is left behind.
Nope. We're all Hannah.
You know, and even if you just need somebody to listen and not give advice, you know, that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. Normally, when I need that, I will start the conversation out like I am just venting. I don't want advice. I don't want anything. I just need an ear.
Yep.
And, you know, but you got to tell us that that's what you need. Otherwise, yeah,
Yes.
we're going to do
We'll
this.
try solve you.
Yeah, because that's what we
Yeah.
do. We want to help. We want to fix.
Absolutely.
You know, I did have a huge win. I always joke about my very first client, Jade. She's been with me since I was in my coaching, like getting my certification, like going to the classes.
Mhm.
And I always joked that she was going to be either my biggest success or my biggest failure. But no matter what, I've made a sister.
Right.
Well, after 3 years of coaching, finally had the big win. Everything that I've been working on, everything that I've been pushing her to see in herself, she's done. She's doing on her own. And she lives in Canada, but she doesn't have a therapist right now.
Mhm.
She's, you know, she's done it without me in her ear, without a therapist.
Mhm.
She's done it. She did it on her own. And I'm so unbelievably proud of her.
Oh, that's so awesome.
You know, it's a huge one. And I told her, I was like, I'm celebrating you. I was like, yes, it is a win for me because finally everything, all the tools that I've given you, you're utilizing, you're doing it.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you did it. All I did was
Mhm.
give you tools.
Exactly. And that's all we can do.
Yeah.
We can't force somebody to heal. We can't force somebody to see the problem in their life, just like they can't force us
Yeah.
to see the problems in our lives. We don't
Mhm.
have any. But I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
we did, they couldn't tell us. They couldn't force us to see them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And it was a huge win. And I won't lie. I told her flat out that if she stuck with this until her birthday in November,
Mhm.
because part of it was breaking a trauma bond with a abusive relationship, breaking the bond, period.
Oh,
And
yeah,
she's
for
gone
sure.
2 months without backsliding.
Awesome.
I told her that she sticks to it all the way till her birthday, which is the end of November, I
Mhm.
will get her a smartwatch.
Ooh,
As a
nice carrot.
I know it's somewhat of a bribe, but she's a very good friend of mine.
But it's a nice carrot.
But think
Yeah,
about
with
it.
the
I mean,
right relationship.
yeah, we're
Yes.
in April. She's never gone this long without talking to said idiot. Okay.
What province is she in? That won't dox her. Just provinces are big.
Give me one second.
What state is she north of?
I'm looking.
Oh,
I just had forgotten. North Vancouver.
okay. Yep. Beautiful area.
But
Beautiful area. Yeah.
he's a married man, and basically
no.
yeah. It took me 2 years to get it through her head. She deserves better. She's not, you know, she doesn't need to be the other, because he did the whole, oh, we have an open marriage. We did the typical lies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been told them. I fell for them.
And it was a long distance relationship anyway, because dude lives in Chicago. Yeah.
That's going somewhere, that relationship. I can see it now. It's just, ugh.
Yeah. And she met him through online Zoom meetings with NA. But, you know,
How many red flags did she need to see?
It's not even. Actually, you wanna figure out how many red flags? She's in the anthology about her and him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And actually, what's sad is after she wrote that, she went back. But she's now gone 2 months without, month and a half, 2 months without speaking.
That's awesome.
That's why I said if she can stick to it, her birthday, November,
Mhm.
which that is truly breaking the bond by that time.
They say that 3 months is minimum for
Mhm.
actually breaking the bond.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, and that's what I have found as well.
Mhm.
Yes, Indigo, I know we're on goodbye number 3.
Yeah. But so yeah, I figure if she that's a really nice carrot, but it was a huge win. It was a
That would
huge,
be a huge win.
and
Huge.
it's a huge win. Everything that we got, because she's setting boundaries, she's seeing the red flags, and as a
Mhm.
coach, who
That's
has
everything you can ask.
yeah, and we've struggled with this for 3 years, lifting
Mm-hmm.
her confidence and building it up, and as a coach, as a teacher, seeing it felt really good.
For sure.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
So, well, I love you all. Yeah, I know, Indigo. You know us girls when we get gabbing.
I know. We don't need sleep. That's
Sleep,
okay. It's okay.
sleep. I always joked about that. Sleep is for the weak. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I may steal that one.
Go
That's
for it.
good.
You
That
know,
is good.
sleep is for the weak. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I might skip Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And Crystal's right. We're small town church people. This is normal.
okay. I'm spiritual, not religious. You all know that. Okay.
Yep. I'm what people would call religious. I don't, because I don't believe in religion. I believe in relationship.
I have a relationship with my higher power.
Mhm.
I just don't give my higher powers names. That's all it is.
Mine have names.
I know.
And that's the thing is, what I love,
Mhm.
you and I can get along so well and have that really big difference, but we love each other.
Yeah. Well, I was raised
Just
Catholic,
as who
went to
we
Christian.
are.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic, went to Christian school. I
Yeah.
have no issue.
And she doesn't
with-
hold it against me or anything. It's kind of
No.
nice.
What I don't like when it comes to certain people within Christian, there are certain aspects of Christianity, born again
Mhm.
Christians and things like that.
Mhm.
I don't like the ones that are judgmental,
Mhm.
that use their religion as a sword and a shield. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
use it as a sword and a shield. You use it to bless people, to enlighten people, but you also respect the fact that I don't follow,
Yeah.
traditional religion.
Yeah.
So you don't shove it down my throat. You don't get
No.
upset that I don't go to your daily devotionals, because you know that's
They're not for everybody.
That's not my thing.
That's right.
You know,
And if you did go, I'd say, "Hey, welcome," but I would not expect you to suddenly go, "Oh, praise God, I'm healed."
yeah,
No, that's not how it works.
no, but
yeah, no.
just like I don't expect to see you when I'm sitting there doing my tarot readings.
Yeah, you probably won't. But you know what? That's the thing is, you have your tarot readings. I have my
Your
prayer
Bible.
life with God.
Yeah.
And that's what each of us has. And like I said to you about medication, I am not going to transform you into what I believe, because that's not okay.
No.
Like that's not my business to do. That's your business to do.
Yeah.
Your business to choose what works for you.
Yeah. And the way I see it is, you're a wonderful person who has a light heart. I hope I am. I hope
Yes, you
people see
certainly
me
are.
that way.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm a little rough around the edges. I curse too much. But
I
I cut
speak
down a
fluent
lot.
sailor with a trucker accent.
Thank you. I'm stealing that. I like it.
Feel free.
And I was raised by sailors, so
Yeah, and I was a hairdresser. You want to hear the dirtiest talking people? Go to a hairdresser's back room.
rough.
Just saying.
So
Worse than any. Yeah.
as long as you don't pass judgment on me, I'm not going to pass judgment on you.
No.
You have the right to believe in what you choose.
Mhm.
I
And
have,
so do you.
and as long as
Yeah.
there's that mutual respect.
Yeah. I've had atheists say that they were scared to come to my channel just in general because they were afraid I wouldn't like them. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, I am so sorry if I ever did anything to make you feel that way. There's
Yeah.
no, you didn't. It's just what other Christians have
Mhm.
done.
Yeah.
The harm that's been put onto people in the name of
Mhm.
what I see as being super
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
I hate that. Just the
Kind
same
of
way.
like my girls' adoptive parents.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
they are those kind of Christians.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Muslims. They hate terrorists
Mhm.
because terrorists have stolen their religion and made the
Mhm.
world hate them.
Yeah.
Whereas I have
Mhm.
not yet met a Muslim who isn't one of the kindest, gentlest people you'd ever know.
Oh yeah. And
You know? Yeah.
people are people. You know, we all bleed red.
Yes, exactly. You peel our skin off, we're all the same.
Yeah. And you know, Morgan Freeman said it best when it comes to the whole thing. Stop talking about it and it'll go away. Stop giving the negative power.
Hmm.
You know, the whole thing he said was, I'm going to stop talking about you as a white man. You stop
Mhm.
talking about me as a black man, and racism ends.
That's
We're
right.
just people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Lord Kiss Freaks on my channel on the 15th of May, and that's gonna be fun. I
Wow.
cannot wait to get to know him better.
Mhm.
Like really, just
Mhm.
yeah, I can't wait to get to know him better.
Okay,
So that's cool.
that and this is the final goodbye because no, I also need to use the ladies' room.
Okay, fine.
I will see you guys on Saturday.
Yes.
Hopefully I will be awake for the 9 o'clock, the 9 a.m. one. I might have to move that one off the schedule because of me picking up the extra shift.
Mm.
I'm gonna play around and see because I do have to do the whole editing thing.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping not.
Mm.
But either way, I will see all of you with Surviving Together.
Mhm.
Even if I'm there in spirit, because it sounds like Matt kind of wants to kidnap me for the afternoon with
Ooh.
you know, doing the hangout of our project, our clothesline project that a lot
Yes.
of people did submit pictures.
Yeah.
Then
Crystal did a fantastic shirt.
yes,
I love her shirt.
I have the email and I've gotten some, and I've got 5. And in fact, one of the funniest ones that I really love, and it's right behind me. Mhm.
Yes, exactly. It's not the 1800s. Stop gaslighting me. We
Matt,
don't use gas lamps.
yeah, Matt wanted me to say, and I'm not Amish, but I didn't really want to do that one.
Yeah.
I didn't have
yeah.
room on there, and we do have a big Amish community. So,
Oh, whoops. Yeah.
all right. I have to use the ladies' room. I love you all. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tonight.
Yeah,
I really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yay, somebody
Okay.
that knows the sign language.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's one of the things I do on my channel is I do sign language to worship music. So, yeah.
I actually signed for a song in chorus when I was in Christian school, and I learned "Bite Me, Lord, Kiss," and I know the sign language for the song "Heal the World" by Michael Jackson.
Oh, what was the song you knew in
I don't.
Chris? Oh, okay.
Love in any language.
Love in any oh, I love that song. Oh, yes. It's fluently spoken here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's the one.
All right. I love you guys. I'm going to the bathroom. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Some come with scars, some come with dreams. In this circle, we're more than what we seem. No judgment here, just voices to be heard. Through laughter, through the tears, we find every